They think they're responding to life, but they're not. They're obeying it. Every time you lash out, argue back, or let anger guide your next move, you've handed the steering wheel to someone else. You think you're defending yourself. You think you're standing your ground. But in reality, you're being controlled. That's the law of reaction. Whoever controls your reaction controls your direction. You don't need to agree with it. You don't even need to like it. But you can't escape it. The world will test you daily through people, problems, and pressure. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A coworker undermines you. A family member hits you with a cheap comment meant to trigger your pride. And before you know it, your emotions take over and the day belongs to them, not you. That's how average people live, reacting, defending, explaining. That's how they lose, piece by piece, moment by moment. They never realize that their reactions are silent confessions of who really runs their mind. You have a choice. Every time you're provoked, you can either rule yourself or be ruled. There is no middle ground. That's the key. Emotional control isn't about being robotic or detached. It's about being the one who decides what deserves your energy. You don't need to suppress emotion. You need to command it. Listen carefully. When you react, you obey emotion. When you respond, you lead it. That's the shift this chapter is about. From being reactive to being ruling. 1. The hidden cost of reaction. Every emotional reaction has a price. It costs you clarity. It costs you time. It costs you presence. Think about the last time you overreacted. Really think. Maybe you sent that text too fast. Maybe you argued just to win. Maybe you tried to prove a point and ended up proving your weakness instead. How did you feel after? Empty, drained, disconnected from yourself. Because you know deep down, you lost control. You let something smaller than you dictate how you felt, how you spoke, how you moved. That's not power. That's slavery. And the worst kind of slavery is mental. When your emotions pull the strings and you dance without knowing. You have a choice. You can keep reacting and stay predictable, or you can stay calm and become powerful. People can't manipulate what doesn't react. They can't trigger what doesn't bite. They can't own what stays centered. He who rules himself cannot be ruled. 2. The first weapon. Awareness. The first weapon in emotional mastery is awareness. You can't control what you can't see. You can't fix what you refuse to feel. So, start by noticing. Name the emotion before it names. You say to yourself, I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling disrespected. It sounds simple. It's not, because naming is taming. When you name the emotion, you separate it from who you are. You're not anger. You're not fear. You're not stress. You're the observer behind them, and the observer always has control. That's the discipline most people skip, the pause of awareness. They feel the spark and immediately burn the house down. You're going to pause. You're going to watch the spark and decide if it deserves a flame. That's mastery. That's the difference between a moment of chaos and a lifetime of peace. Every emotion that rises in you is a message, not a command. You don't have to obey it. You just have to understand it. You have a choice. Always. 3. How to reclaim your power in real time. Let's get practical. The next time you're tested, pause, take a breath. 1 full inhale, 1 full exhale. That breath is your sword. It cuts emotion from impulse. You're not running. You're resetting. In that 1 second, you reclaim power. You choose not to let someone else's chaos write your story. When someone provokes you, don't respond. Observe. When you feel anger, don't suppress it. Watch it. When you want to defend yourself, don't. Let silence be your defense. It's not weakness. It's warfare. Because silence, stillness, and control are the weapons of the disciplined. You think reacting proves strength. It doesn't. Anyone can react. Children react. The undisciplined react. It takes courage to choose calm. It takes strength to stay unmoved. That's how you become dangerous in a world addicted to noise. You have a choice. In every argument, every conflict, every irritation, and you decide who wins, not by fighting harder, but by reacting smarter. That's how you control the frame. That's how you control your life. 4. The paradox of power. Here's the paradox. The less you react, the more power you have. The quieter you become, the more people listen, the calmer you stay, the more chaos you control. People mistake stillness for weakness because they've never seen true strength. But remember this. Lions don't react to barking dogs. You have to rise above the noise. You have to train yourself to see emotion as energy, not identity. Let people talk. Let them test you. Life throw what it wants. You don't need to prove yourself in every battle. You just need to preserve yourself for the war that matters. Your purpose, your peace, your vision. That's what emotional control gives you. Choice. Time, power, focus. You stop being a puppet. You start being the master. He who rules himself cannot be ruled. 5. Daily discipline. The 3-second rule. Here's a tool. It's simple, brutal, effective. The 3-second rule. Before you respond to anything emotional, count 1, 2, 3. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, you walk away. You stay quiet or you redirect your focus. You'll be shocked how much strength lives inside those 3 seconds. That's the space where maturity lives. That's where self-control is born. The old you reacts. The disciplined you rules. You have a choice. You can stay reactive, or you can become rare. You see, this chapter isn't just philosophy. It's the foundation, because everything that follows, discipline, focus, patience, leadership, all of it rests on one truth. You can't lead anything if you can't lead yourself. The law of reaction will never stop testing you, but now you know how to win. Through awareness, through pause, through choice. The moment you feel triggered, breathe, name it, own it, and rule it. That's how you take back your power. That's how you stop reacting and start ruling. He who rules himself cannot be ruled. The difference between peace and chaos is 1 second. 1 second between your impulse and your action. That's where your life is decided. Most people never find that second. They rush past it. They speak before they think. They act before they understand, and then they wonder why their life feels out of control. But the truth is simple. You don't need to control the world. You just need to control the pause. Pause first, decide second, respond last. That's the key, because that pause, that tiny, silent space, one is where your power lives. It's where clarity replaces chaos. It's where emotion turns into intelligence. It's where you stop reacting and start leading yourself. 1. The power hidden in 1 second. You think 1 second doesn't matter, but in that 1 second, you either ruin the moment or reshape it. That's the second between sending that angry message or deleting it. The second between shouting back or breathing through it. The second between quitting and continuing. Every leader, every athlete, every disciplined mind knows this truth. Control the pause, and you control the outcome. Soldiers train for it. When bullets are flying and chaos explodes around them, they don't move on emotion. They move on discipline. That's not luck. That's conditioning. Athletes practice it too. The basketball player at the free throw line, crowd screaming, game on the line. What does he do? He breathes. He pauses. He centers because he knows. One rushed shot, one emotional flick of the wrist, and everything collapses. You don't need to be in the military or on a court to understand this. Your life has its own battlefield, the argument, the meeting, the decision, the temptation, and in each battle, the one who pauses wins. You have a choice. You can let emotion lead, or you can let silence lead. 2. The science of the pause. Let's talk about why the pause works. It's not just mindset. It's biology. Your brain has 2 systems, the fast and the slow. The fast one reacts, fight, flee, defend. The slow one thinks, evaluates, decides, creates. Most people live in the fast brain. They're emotional, impulsive, loud. They say what they feel, and later, they feel what they said. The disciplined few live in the slow brain. They pause. They breathe. They give their logic time to wake up before emotion takes control. That's the difference between living on instinct and living on intention. You have a choice every time you feel that rush of heat, that spark of irritation, that sting of disrespect. You can breathe, or you can burn. Pause first. Decide second. Respond last. It's not weakness. It's warfare. The pause is your shield in a world that wants to provoke you. 3. The emotional reflex trap most. People think reacting fast means they're strong. They think being real means saying everything they feel in the moment. That's not strength. That's lack of control. Let me make this clear. Your first emotion is not your truth. It's your test. The anger, the offense, the irritation. That's the bait. The test is whether you take it. People who fail that test live in chaos. Their mood swings. Their peace disappears. Their relationships collapse. Not because life is unfair, but because they never learned to pause. You have a choice. You can be predictable, or you can be powerful. Predictable people react. Powerful people pause. That's the key, because when you pause, you take the power away from the world and give it back to yourself. 4. Real world. Discipline. Let's bring it down to earth. Next time someone disrespects you, don't respond immediately. Don't defend. Don't explain. Don't correct, breathe. Count to 3. In those 3 seconds, watch what happens. Their energy loses power. Your clarity returns. And your response, if you choose to give one, comes from control, not chaos. Try it in conversation. Someone interrupts you. Pause before speaking. Someone disagrees. Pause before defending. Someone blames you. Pause before reacting. That pause will save you from battles that aren't worth fighting. It will protect your time, your peace, and your reputation. In leadership, people don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the calmest presence, the one who can hold pressure without cracking. You have a choice. Every time you pause, you build that presence. 5. The 5-second reset method. Here's a tool, the 5-second reset. Use it anytime you feel triggered, rushed, or overwhelmed. Step 1. Stop what you're doing. Step 2. Inhale deeply for 3 seconds. Step 3. Exhale slowly for 2. That's 5 seconds. That's all. But in those 5 seconds, your body calms, your mind clears, and your decision sharpens. You reset your nervous system. You take emotion out of the driver's seat. You replace reaction with reflection. That's discipline in motion. The next time your boss snaps at you, your partner frustrates you, or your plans fall apart, don't react. Use the reset. 5 seconds of control can save you 5 hours of regret. Pause first. Decide second. Respond last. 6. Why the world fears. The pause. Most people can't handle silence. They need noise, reaction, validation. They need to feel busy to feel important. But the pause, it exposes you. It forces you to see yourself, your ego, your impulses, your fears. And that's uncomfortable. That's why the world avoids stillness. Because stillness is a mirror. But if you want mastery, you have to face that mirror. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their understanding to stay silent. You only need your discipline to hold that pause. That's where emotional strength is born, not in action, but in restraint. The man who can wait 5 seconds longer than everyone else will always win. 7. The reward of the pause. The pause makes you powerful. It gives you time to choose. Wisdom over emotion. It turns chaos into clarity. It earns you respect. People will notice. They'll feel your calm. They'll wonder why you're not reacting. And that mystery is power. You'll notice it too. You'll start to enjoy your own peace more than your own arguments. You'll feel proud of what you didn't say and what you didn't do. That's mastery. That's control. That's the life you've been chasing. The one that starts with a single pause. You have a choice. Every moment gives you that chance again and again and again. Pause first. Decide second. Respond last. 8. The chapter closing. Linking back to the book. The pause is not just a trick. It's a transformation. It's how you move from emotional to intentional. It's how you stop reacting and start ruling. Every moment, life will test your impulse. People will try to pull you out of peace. Circumstances will provoke your ego. But the warrior, the leader, the disciplined mind, pauses, always. You've mastered the pause. Now, let's go deeper. Because calm without understanding is only half the battle. You need to learn how to stay detached from the drama that doesn't belong to you. Most people don't have control. They have suppression. They don't master emotions. They bury them until the ground cracks open. And when it does, they call it stress. They call it burnout. They call it breakdown. But the truth is simple. It wasn't pressure that broke them. It was pretending. Pretending to be calm. Pretending to be unbothered. Pretending to be okay. That's not control. That's denial. You can't suppress what you haven't faced. You can't master what you won't admit. You don't need to fake calm. You need to build control. And that begins with one rule. Feel it. Don't feed it. 1. The lie of I'm fine. You've said it 1,000 times. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm okay. But inside, you're boiling. Every I'm fine becomes another brick on your chest. Every I'm good buries what you really feel a little deeper. And one day, it explodes. Not because of that one moment, but because of all the moments you ignored before it. That's what happens when you confuse control with containment. Containment is when you lock emotions inside a box. Control is when you open the box, study what's in it, and decide what to do with it. You have a choice. You can bury emotions, or you can break them down. One leads to weakness, the other leads to wisdom. That's the key. 2. Emotions aren't the enemy. You were never meant to kill your emotions. You were meant to command them. Anger, fear, sadness, jealousy, they're signals, not flaws. Anger shows you what you value. Fear shows you what you're not ready for. Sadness shows you what you've lost. Jealousy shows you what you want. If you suppress them, you lose data. If you understand them, you gain direction. You don't need to reject emotions to be strong. You need to understand them to be strategic. That's emotional control, awareness, not avoidance. So when anger rises, don't say, I shouldn't feel this. Say, what is this trying to teach me? When jealousy creeps in, don't shame it. Study it. Ask, what does this reveal about my goals? That's power. That's ownership. Feel it. Don't feed it. 3. The explosion cycle. Here's what happens to people who suppress. They swallow emotions until they choke on them. They bottle everything up until the pressure turns to rage. They say, I'm fine, until one small thing sets them off. A late email, a careless comment, a traffic jam. Boom, explosion. And then they regret it, then they apologize, then they start the same cycle again. That's not strength. That's emotional slavery. You can't keep pretending silence equals peace. You can't confuse repression with discipline. Discipline is not the absence of emotion. Discipline is the intelligent direction of emotion. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. And you can't lead yourself if you lie to yourself about how you feel. You have a choice. Suppress or study, react or regulate, explode or evolve. That's the key. 4. The leader's secret. Real leaders feel everything, but they show only what serves the moment. That's true control. A general on the battlefield doesn't stop feeling fear. He feels it, but doesn't feed it. He channels it into focus. An athlete before the championship game doesn't stop feeling pressure. She feels it, but doesn't feed it. She turns it into precision. A CEO facing failure doesn't stop feeling doubt. He feels it, but doesn't feed it. He turns it into discipline. That's mastery, not numbness, control, not denial, direction. The greatest people on earth feel deeply, but act deliberately. They don't let feelings lead, they let purpose lead. That's what you must train for, not to stay calm, but to stay conscious. When you feel anger rising, slow your breath. When you feel fear, focus your eyes. When you feel doubt, ground yourself in action. You can't stop the wave. You can learn to surf it, feel it, don't feed it. 5. Building emotional intelligence through discipline. Let's make this practical. Here's how to shift from false calm to true control in real life. Step 1. Name it. Call the emotion what it is: anger, envy, fear, frustration. Naming it removes its power to hide. Step 2. Locate it. Where is it in your body? Tight chest, racing pulse, shallow breath. Your body feels emotion before your brain does. Step 3. Question it. What's this emotion protecting? What boundary did it just reveal? Every emotion has a reason. Find it. Step 4. Redirect it. Channel it into progress. Anger into intensity. Fear into preparation. Sadness into depth. Jealousy into drive. That's emotional transmutation, turning reaction into resource. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally efficient. You're not weak for feeling. You're weak for feeding. You don't need their permission to feel. You need your discipline to control. That's the work. That's maturity. 6. The trap of emotional image. Let's talk about the mask. The one you wear when you want to look composed but feel broken. You think calm means strong. You think quiet means confident. You think emotion means weak. Wrong. False calm is cosmetic confidence. True control is internal stability. You don't need to fake peace. You need to build it. You don't need to pretend strength. You need to train it. The people who look unshakable on the outside often crumble inside. The ones who seem emotional sometimes have the deepest control because they face what they feel. You have a choice: fake calm or earn peace, hide pain or heal it. That's the difference between appearance and alignment. One fools the world, the other frees you. Feel it. Don't feed it. 7. The quiet power of emotional awareness. Emotional control is not about reacting less. It's about responding better. It's knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It's knowing when to express and when to redirect. You can't master your reactions if you're blind to your emotions. You can't master your life if you're running from your truth. That's why awareness is step 1. Before strategy, before control, before power. Awareness is the pause before progress. When you feel chaos rising, stop. Breathe, observe. Don't feed it with thoughts. Don't feed it with words. Just feel and watch it dissolve. You'll start realizing emotions aren't your enemy. They're your early warning system, your emotional radar. That's real intelligence, emotional precision. 8. The chapter closing, linking back to the book. So now you understand, suppression isn't control, pretending isn't peace, and denial isn't discipline. The goal isn't to stop feeling. The goal is to stop feeding. Feel it. Don't feed it. That's the mantra. That's the muscle. That's the mastery. When you understand your emotions, you direct your energy. When you direct your energy, you control your reactions. And when you control your reactions, you take back your power. You've learned how to turn emotion into information, chaos into clarity. Now it's time to take that clarity into action, because control doesn't live in silence. It lives in strategy. You've learned how to manage your inner fire. Next, we'll talk about how to use that fire for purpose. You lose power every time you defend what doesn't need defending. You lose energy every time you try to prove what doesn't need proof. And you lose peace every time your pride drags you into a fight you could have walked away from. That's the weakness of reaction. That's the disease of pride. Pride is loud, power is quiet. Pride argues, power listens. Pride reacts, power observes. Every time you react to prove your worth, you announce your insecurity to the world. You think you're standing up for yourself, but you're actually giving your emotions control over you. You have a choice: defend your ego or protect your peace. You can't do both. That's the key. 1. The trap of needing to be right. The most dangerous addiction isn't drugs or attention. It's the need to be right. You've seen it. Arguments that go in circles. No one's listening. No one's learning. Everyone's just waiting to reply. That's not communication. That's ego combat. Online, in relationships, at work. Everyone's fighting for validation instead of truth. Everyone's arguing for approval instead of progress. But here's the truth. Right doesn't need to argue, it just stands. Wisdom doesn't shout, it stays still. You have to train yourself to stop explaining your worth to people committed to misunderstanding it. That's emotional control. That's discipline. The next time someone tries to drag you into a pointless debate, stop. Pause. Ask yourself, do I want peace or do I want to win? Because often, winning costs your calm. You have a choice. Every argument is an invitation. You don't have to RSVP. 2. Pride is just insecurity, dressed up as confidence. Pride is insecurity wearing a crown. It wants to look strong because it's terrified of being small. That's why it reacts so quickly. That's why it can't stay silent. That's why it always needs to be seen, heard, and validated. But real power? Real power doesn't chase validation. It creates results. When you know who you are, you don't need to prove it. When you know your value, you don't need to announce it. Every moment you spend defending your worth is a moment you could have spent building it. You don't need their permission. You don't need their agreement. You don't need their applause. Pride reacts. Power observes. 3. The modern playground of pride. The internet. Scroll through social media and you'll see it everywhere. The weakness of reaction. People fighting strangers. People arguing over opinions that don't matter. People losing their peace over someone else's post. They call it speaking my truth. But what it really is emotional exposure. Every angry comment is a confession of lost control. Every defensive reply is proof of wounded pride. Every post made to set the record straight only shows you were never centered in the first place. You can't win arguments online. You only trade energy for nothing. It's not about being silent. It's about being strategic. When you respond to every insult, you let them decide your mood. When you react to every opinion, you give them your peace for free. You don't have to prove your power on the internet. Real power doesn't perform. It endures. So remember this line. Every time your thumb hovers over the keyboard, pride reacts, power observes. 4. The same pattern in real life. Relationships and work. It's not just online. It's everywhere. At home, at work, in love. You want the last word. You want to win the argument. You want them to know you were right. But ask yourself, what are you really defending? The truth or your ego? Sometimes the most powerful move isn't to clap back. It's to let silence do the talking. In relationships, pride keeps score. Discipline keeps peace. At work, pride fights for credit. Discipline focuses on contribution. In leadership, pride shouts. Discipline commands respect quietly. You don't need to react to be strong. You need to respond with purpose. That's the difference between impulse and influence. One drains you, the other builds you. 5. The psychology of reaction. Why pride needs to win. Let's go deeper. Why do people react? Because reaction feels like control. But it isn't. It's the illusion of control. The emotional hit of power that fades in seconds. When someone challenges you, your pride screams, defend yourself. But that's fear. Fear of being disrespected, unseen, or powerless. And that fear makes you impulsive. It makes you emotional. It makes you predictable. The person who can control your reaction controls you. That's why silence is strength. That's why observation is power. The less you react, the less they can read you. The less they can read you, the less they can control you. You have a choice. Be reactive and transparent, or calm and mysterious. That's the key. 6. Real power moves differently. Watch powerful people. They don't react fast. They don't argue. They don't chase credit. They pause. They assess. Then they move once, with precision. They understand one law. Control energy. Control outcomes. That's why negotiators don't panic under pressure. That's why elite soldiers train to stay calm under fire. That's why disciplined minds win where emotional minds collapse. Every second of reaction is a second of lost strategy. So stop playing checkers with emotional people. Play chess, move slow, think deep, speak last, because silence makes them guess. Reaction gives them the map. Pride reacts, power observes. 7. How to stop reacting in real life. You want practical steps? Here they are. Step 1. Delay. When triggered, pause, 10 seconds, 10 breaths. That gap is your power window. Step 2. Ask. Does this even deserve my energy? 9 out of 10 times. It doesn't. Step 3. Observe. Notice the emotional pull. Feel the pride rising. Then starve it. Step 4. Redirect. Take that same energy and put it into progress. Work, training, study, discipline. That's the key. Stop feeding the fire, start building the foundation. Reaction is a leak. Focus is a fortress. Every reaction you don't give is fuel you keep. That's how emotional control compounds. You build strength by starving weakness.